Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you having a good Tuesday, wherever we are from around the world. Hopefully, everyone's good. Hopefully, everyone's well. And welcome back to yet another Liverpool news episode for you guys this evening. And do we have a jam-packed show for you guys? Yes, we do, of course, talking about all the latest Liverpool news, which, again, of course, we are going to discuss Marc Guehi, of course, but apparently, according to news, there is talk about personal terms being agreed towards Marc Guehi and Liverpool Football Club, which we will dive into a bit later on as well. But not only that, of course, we've got, as we are going live, breaking news on Luis Diaz and Bayern Munich. It does look like Bayern Munich are going to push for Lucho, which again, look, may come as a bit of a surprise for a couple of people, but obviously with the news breaking about obviously Diaz being frustrated over the last couple of weeks, then again, it's not really a shock. Then really that the news has come out about Luis Diaz being a bit upset with, of course, Liverpool and of course the whole Bayern move as well. We'll talk about Harvey Elliott as well. Obviously, had a very impressive tournament for England in the under 21s as well. And again, of course, all the news speaking on Harvey Elliott is and basically has been a move away over the last couple of days as well. But we will kickstart the show talking about Darwin Nunez and, of course, the Napoli bid that looks like it's going to happen, but hasn't happened yet, which we will dive into a bit later on, of course. But like I said, we are going to start the show with it, but let me get into the comments. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below anyway. But we do have big up Martin as well, saying hi mate, as well, saying tell me the reports isn't we've agreed with the player before we've agreed with the club at a rubbish as well. Well, that's normally what tends to happen, Martin, is normally we do agree personal terms and then go in with the club as well, but fee needs agreed. Well, I think that might be next week with, of course, Marc Guehi and Liverpool. We'll get onto that a bit later on, of course, but Diaz and Ibu insane, sorry, but both have been great fans that should remember. Yeah, absolutely. And also says, I'll celebrate Nunez sale like a buy. No offense to him, it's failed in a big way. I've seen a couple of people say, where does it link up with in terms of failures for Liverpool? I think it's up there, but I don't think it's like an utter failure, really, because let's be honest, again, Darwin Nunez has contributed to Liverpool winning a league title, so when you add that up, again, it's another conversation anyway. But, speaking on Nunez, of course, we've known for a little bit that Napoli are interested in Darwin. We know this over the last couple of weeks, haven't we, that something is there between Liverpool and Napoli, but there is still no bid. There is no agreement yet, still on personal terms with Darwin Nunez. Now, Ben Jacobs as well, who's been pretty reliable for Liverpool news this summer, has said that, again, as of Tuesday morning, Liverpool is still yet to receive a formal bid for Darwin Nunez. Napoli still view Nunez as their top striker target. Obviously, the value remains at around 70 million euros, which is around 64 million pounds, which, again, with Darwin, are Liverpool putting him at a price point that's unattainable for clubs? I think, look, if the Saudis had come in, I do think Darwin Nunez would have left by now. I do think if Darwin had said yes to Al Hilal or, again, if his preference was to go out to Saudi and of course earn as much money as he possibly can, then I think Darwin would have been gone by now at least. But we know his preference is to stay in Europe. We know Spanish teams have been speaking, Italian teams as well have been looking at Darwin, and of course Napoli have been the one that have been the main headline for the last couple of weeks, that Darwin Nunez is going to go to Napoli, or at least Napoli are going to try everything to get Darwin Nunez. Now, what I look at it at is that Liverpool wants 64 million pounds, which is too much for Napoli. Napoli want Darwin of around 40 million pounds, which again, could Liverpool go down to that price? I think it's honestly depending on other people. We're going to talk about him in a bit later on. But if Luis Diaz was to leave Liverpool for, let's say, 70, 80 million pounds, does then the price then drop for Darwin Nunez a little bit, or do Liverpool, have a little bit of wiggle room there potentially? Of course that is an option, but I personally do look at it and go that when you look at the market and look at strikers, again, Liverpool asking £50 million for Darwin Nunez isn't the worst thing in the world. Again, that's the going price at the minute, where again Darwin Nunez could become great for another team. Again, we've seen how in other years where Antonio Conte has done wonders with other strikers. Again, got I know Harry Kane was already performing at Spurs, but again got another level out of Harry Kane. Again, you look at his time at Napoli. Again, I think Higuain hit ridiculous numbers under Conte as well. So there is a possibility that Conte does get the best out of him in this area. But you also look at it and go, well, at the present moment in time, where would Darwin Nunez play for Antonio Conte? Because, okay, yes, they've just got Kevin De Bruyne, which, that's going to be in the 10 position, but they've already got Romelu Lukaku as well. So it is an interesting point where I look at it and go, is he being bought to be a backup striker? Of course, they are speaking to a striker, I believe, from Udinese as well. So it looks like Napoli have options. It does look like that. But also, again, their main target is Darwin Nunez. I hope there is some sort of resolvement over the next week or two, because again, Liverpool want to move on and get their striker target, but realistically, everything at the moment is relying on Darwin Nunez leaving the football club. And if Darwin doesn't leave, then Liverpool might be in huge trouble in terms of bringing in a certain key player as well. So, look, I do think it's an interesting one, isn't it, with Darwin Nunez? Personally, I do think he will end up going to. I do think he will end up going to Napoli. I think there will be some sort of resolvement there, but even still, what that price point will be, I have not got a clue. But again, I do think it's an interesting one as well. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments, because of course there's maybe if Liverpool had sold him in January, then of course we don't know what effects that would have had for Liverpool in terms of the Premier League race. But I know a couple of people already are like, oh, maybe we should have just sold him in January when of course the bid was supposedly in from the Saudis. And again, I kind of look at it and go, again, Darwin Nunez did help Liverpool win a league title. So, we'll have to wait and see, really. But again, let me know if you guys think he'll go to Napoli as well down in the comments. But Martin says we won the league and Nunez contributed. Agree as well. I can accept Nunez missing chances. I can't accept him coming on to the pitch and making stupid fouls to cheer from Cop. Yeah, like the thing that annoys me with Nunez is kind of like just the tweets a little bit, when he turns around and says that, oh, like 1 week he's the villain, 1 week then he's the hero and that. And I kind of look at it and I go, Liverpool supporters have been behind Darwin Nunez quite a lot. I think more so really than was justified, I think, at times. Again, you support every single player. Once they put that red shirt on, you religiously support them through everything. But when you're tweeting out stupid things and that, and I think that at the end of the season for me, certainly with Nunez, it was quite clear that the relationship there between him and Arne Slot broke down. And there was some sort of a breakdown in communication there where, you look over time and you go, well, Darwin Nunez would add an extra element to Liverpool's attack, but realistically, Arne Slot didn't want to bring him on. We were making Luis Diaz as the 9, or making Jota as the 9, or even playing. I think even one game we played Gakpo at the 9 before Darwin, and that I think is a true sign of look, he's just not the player that Arne Slot wants. I think look at it 12 months ago. Arne Slot was very honest in saying that, look, I want to work with Darwin Nunez. When there was talks of him even leaving last summer, there was, talks of Arne Slot going, no, I want to keep Darwin Nunez. I want him to be my number 9 for Liverpool. And, look, for Jurgen Klopp to bring him in and it not working out, and then Arne Slot bringing him in, obviously Arne Slot using him and it not working out, it's then, what is it then? Is it the player, or is it the team? Is it the country? And this is the big question mark now, even for Napoli probably, is if they sign Darwin Nunez and he does go to Napoli and he's not the player that they think he's going to be as well, then it's quite clearly him. It's not a system, it's not a league, it's specifically Darwin Nunez. And look, Napoli will be looking at it as well, because they can't throw around £50 million and it not work out. Like, they have to have him come into to the team and him to hit, 15, 20 goals a season as a minimum, probably, as well, especially for them being league champions as well. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen with Nunez. But again, I think we will have big news over the next week or two with Darwin, at least anyway. But Ollie says, what's the latest on Jota and Chiesa? Chiesa wants to leave to Italy. That's been apparently made. AC Milan's the biggest shout thing with Chiesa. Jota, nothing. As far as I know, anyway. But we've not had any more news, have we, Ollie, on Jota so far? But again, I think he ends up staying, in my opinion. But Martin says Nunez chances he missed the first season was like Suarez' first season. I would much rather he was getting into in a position to get the chances. Well, that's the thing, and that's the problem with Darwin Nunez. Nunez gets into the correct positions. He just can't finish them. And that's the annoying part about Darwin, which, if Nunez could finish, 10-15% of the chances he misses, because my hair goes up so crazy. If he scored 5 or 10% of the chances he creates, then, he'd be a wonderful striker. But, that's the problem. He doesn't. But Nunez is a scorer of great goals rather than being a great goal scorer, and his offside management is shocking, lacks composure and footballing brain. Yeah, I agree, Ian. And look, you guys should know, if you're long-time viewers of the channel, I was one of Darwin Nunez's biggest fans when he first joined the football club. Those 2 games against Benfica in the Champions League, like, I was at that Benfica Champions League game at Anfield, and he was unbelievable. He was truly unbelievable. And watching it, I was like, oh, like, we're gonna have a really good player here. Like, we're genuinely gonna have one of the best strikers in Europe in the future. And we've never had that Darwin Nunez at Liverpool. In my honest opinion, I don't think we've ever had that version of Darwin Nunez at Liverpool. Look, we've had glimpses of it, and we've had certain elements of it where, of course, it's we've had moments like Brentford away and even certain other games at home as well. But I look at it and I go, for me personally, if he added more of them to his game, like as the comment said, he hasn't developed in the 2+ years he's been here, and that's the problem. Like, Darwin Nunez is still making the same mistakes that he was doing 3 years ago. And when you looked at his track record, certainly at Benfica, first season was pretty underwhelming. Second season completely exploded. And we kind of thought, oh, maybe he might do that at Liverpool. Kind of showed signs towards it, but he has never recovered, in my honest opinion. So I think, look, we will sell Nunez, hopefully. But again, the price point is, a question of how much, really. But as Nunez not picked up the language affected his development, he can speak English. Like, I think, was it Curtis Jones said he can speak really good English, but I think he just refuses to. Similar like Bobby. Bobby knew good English, but the preference, he'd always speak Spanish. And that's, again, of course, it's his right to speak Spanish. But look, with Nunez, it's it's frustrating, isn't it, really? But look, we'll have to wait and see with Darwin Nunez anyway. But moving on from Darwin, we're going to speak about Harvey then. And of course, he is a wanted man from his time at the Euros. Now, of course, the under-21 Euros, I should add that as well, because people, whinge and complain that I don't put that in. But still, the fact he, again, was the player of the tournament, which was great for Liverpool, added, a lot more, probably millions to the question mark for Harvey Elliott. But also as well, it's that sense of again, he's had a brilliant tournament, and I think everybody thinks like, oh, why aren't Liverpool using him? But I think it is the right decision to potentially sell him. But again, we now know from David Ornstein that there is some news towards it as well. When I talk about him being a wanted man, it's what David Ornstein said. As he said, Liverpool have set Harvey Elliott's asking price as interest builds in the under-21 player of the tournament. Liverpool want £40 million plus a buyback, or £50 million without a buyback. The 22-year-old forward eyeing regular football at elite, potentially UCL level, so may look to go abroad as well. And of course, the article does go on to say that again, even though he wants to be at the top level, his preference is to stay in the Premier League. So with that being said, who is the teams that could realistically offer him game time? Now, there was talk of Newcastle being the team that could potentially take Harvey Elliott for next season. I believe it was Alex Crook who did report on this, saying that Newcastle are interested in Harvey Elliott. So if we quickly get up what he did say, so I'm not going to tell you guys a bunch of lies. So he did go on to say Newcastle United are among the clubs who are showing interest in signing Harvey Elliott. Talksport understand that Elliott is very keen on a move away from Anfield this summer. So I think that's natural. Let's be honest. I think, of course, with the addition to the Liverpool squad with Florian Wirtz, Dominic Szoboszlai last season, keeping Harvey pretty much out of the team as well, I look at it and go, look, I think it's going to be perfect for him and also perfect for Liverpool, because again, look, £50 million is a very good deal for Harvey Elliott. Look, I still think Harvey has a lot of potential. I really do. I think there is room for improvement, of course, but is he good for, is he top class? And I think that's the question mark that a lot of people have with Harvey, is the fact that is he, or does he have the potential to become world class? I think he has the potential to be great. Does he have the potential to become world class? I don't think so, honestly. And that's me being honest. But I also look at it and go, he could become a very, very, very good player for another team. If we talk about Newcastle, we talk about potentially like Borussia Dortmund or a team like that. He could be the player that a team builds themselves around. Now for Liverpool, of course, looking ahead for the future, Liverpool potentially don't need him for the future, because again, you've got Dominic Szoboszlai there, you've got Florian Wirtz as well. Like Liverpool's future in that number 10 position, or the midfielder as itself, looks very promising with them two in particular playing the 10 position. And for Harvey, in my honest opinion, I think it was a struggle for him last season, wasn't it, to get into the team and to try and sort things out. But I think honestly, if he looks at it and go, I can't get ahead of Dominic Szoboszlai, I can't get ahead of Curtis Jones, I can't get ahead of Chiesa and Mo Salah on the right, it's probably the best time for me to move on. Even though, again, he has said it, quite honestly and proudly, that he is a Liverpool supporter, he's a Liverpool fan. He says this is his club, but I think he realizes himself that he's not going to get minutes, and especially with it being a World Cup year, of course, he'll want to be playing regular football. He'll want to be starting week in, week out. And I think looking at it, look, if Liverpool get 40 million plus a buyback, or even 50 million without one, again, I think overall it's a good deal for both. I think it's a good deal for Liverpool. It's a great deal for Harvey Elliott as well. But Newcastle, I think, could be a great move for him. But in also saying that, it's kind of like, how would Newcastle use him? Because at their best, they probably use the three of Joe Linton, Bruno Guimaraes, and Tonali, potentially. Does Harvey get in that midfield three? I think that's a question in itself. On the right-hand side, at the moment, he gets in. But as soon as, if Newcastle get Anthony Elanga, for example, do then Eddie Howe use Anthony Elanga over Harvey Elliott? Would Harvey be on the bench again? So I think this next decision will be huge, really, on how, of course, he makes the move, because again, he wants to be at the top level. As David Ornstein said there, he wants Champions League football. So it's a very small amount of clubs that he can go to in that sense as well. So look, let me know your guys' thoughts on Harvey. For me, I can kind of see the Newcastle move, but also I do think a move abroad could be the best thing possible for him. I do think Dortmund or Leipzig, especially, RB Leipzig, actually, no, Leipzig are not in the Champions League, are they? So, again, Dortmund potentially. Of course, he did turn down the move to Leverkusen, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there, really. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. But we're going to move on then, and we're going to talk about Luis Diaz. Now, this has been breaking news since we've been on the video, on live, I should say. And that is Bayern Munich are pushing a move for Luis Diaz. Now, according to reports in Germany, as you guys can hopefully see on screen right now, as it does go on to say that things are getting serious between Bayern and Luis Diaz. Max Earl has now made a concrete approach to the player. Concrete figures were discussed in order to prepare an offer. Diaz is open to a move away from Liverpool. Now, in my honest opinion, and this is me being brutally honest, again, I think this has been coming for a while. I think the news, was it last week, coming out about how Lucho was upset about Liverpool not offering him a new contract. Liverpool were very happy to let him run down his current contract. Of course, Lucho is rumoured to be on around £55,000 per week. I think it's a bit more than that, but I do think it's only just a slightly bit more than that, of course, from his original deal from Porto. But I think you do look at it and go, of course, Liverpool are happy with the current situation. You've got a top-class player playing week in, week out for you on, peanuts then, really. And I think Liverpool being very honest in the fact that Liverpool don't want to offer him a new contract because of probably the demands that Lucho might potentially ask for. And I think that the big thing for Liverpool, and the reason why Liverpool are not going to go for it, is simply because of because of Lucho's age. I think, how old is Lucho? 28. I think potentially going on to 29. So Liverpool don't want to offer Lucho a 5-year contract, because then that takes him up to 32, 33. For Liverpool then to move him on would be harder than, again, letting him go now, which, we've known for some time that Liverpool are quite happy with the situation. Liverpool, again, don't want to sell Luis Diaz. But if you kind of read in between the lines, certainly when Barcelona were interested around him, of if a bid come in at, like, let's say £70 million, I don't think Liverpool turned that down, really. And I think Liverpool then would invest that at looking at the next best on the left-hand side. Of course, having Cody Gakpo there at the moment is obviously a massive help as well. But I do look at it and go that if a bid of 70, 75, 80 million pounds did come in for him, I think Liverpool would find it hard to turn it down, really. But again, I'm not personally surprised of the Bayern Munich news, because we've known from Florian Plintenberg and other German reporters, listing, left wingers off left, right, and centre, haven't they? Over the last couple of weeks, about, again, they've been linked with Rafael Leao, Barcola, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo as well. Like, every left winger in world football you can think about, Bayern Munich's been linked with them. But I'm really not surprised that Luis Diaz to Bayern Munich is now picking up pace because of, Lucho supposedly unhappy with it, the wages and so on as well. So I think it is a one to keep an eye on. I really do. I think we will definitely be seeing some movement on it. How quickly that movement is, again, I'm not going to say, it's going to be done next week. Of course it's not. But Liverpool clearly don't want to sell. If a bid did come in, though, of 70 to 80 million pounds, I do think we will end up seeing Liverpool maybe cave in for that and look at the next best thing. And, realistically, I think the question mark is, who do Liverpool replace him with? Because you look at that left wing market, it's not great, is it? Let's be perfectly honest. So, with having Nico Williams off that as well, going to Barcelona, again, it's a very weak market, let's be perfectly honest. So it'll be interesting to see who Liverpool go for if Lucho does leave. But I think, honestly, in my personal opinion, I think it's going to take a lot to get him out of Liverpool. I really do. And will that happen this summer? I'm not too sure. But again, it will be interesting to see what Bayern Munich do as well. So again, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. But for me, I think Lucho, will he leave Liverpool this summer? I don't think so. But if the right price comes along, I can easily see Liverpool accepting it, in my honest opinion, as well. But big up Uncle Rod as well. Hope you're doing well, mate. Say move abroad would be best for Elliott as well. I think so as well. Wouldn't be too surprised if a couple of, even a couple of Spanish teams looked at him, really. But again, who's got that type of money to spend on Harvey? It's another question, isn't it? But best wishes to Harvey for the future as well. Yeah, absolutely, Ollie. Ian says Brighton would be a great move for him. To be fair, I turned around and said that I think Brighton or Villa. I think Villa, if Villa lose Morgan Rogers, I think Harvey to Aston Villa would be a really good move. Yeah, I really do. I think that would be a really, really top move for him. But again, we talk about top level, Villa is around that bracket as well. So I think, that's another, that's 100% another move that could 100% work out for sure as well. But big up Scottish Bear as well, saying big up lads, keep up the good work as well. Thank you, lads. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? See what will happen. But smash them likes, Liverpool faithful as well. Yeah, if you could, again, there's 18 people in right now. Let me double check. What are we on in terms of likes? We are on, it says 8 at the minute, so we can get to 20. Very much appreciated as always. But Rupert's in as well, saying just hope Bajcetic gets looked at in pre-season. Yeah, well, tomorrow we're going to be doing, I'll quickly get it for you guys now. Where's the thumbnail? So tomorrow, if there isn't any other news, we're going to be live taking a look at the squad and going through a keep, loan, and sell. That's the thumbnail for tomorrow. So you guys can go already check that out on the YouTube anyway. It is already scheduled for tomorrow, of course. But yeah, we've got things coming up as well on the YouTube channel. So to keep your eyes posted on that as well. We've got some interesting videos coming up. We've got what have we got? There's a video coming out tomorrow at 3 o'clock talking about strikers. There's a video coming out about Florian Wirtz, Marc Guehi as well. So make sure you are staying tuned towards that as well. It is on the channel coming up as also. But 100% I would agree with you on that, mate. Who replaces Diaz? Wirtz with his flexibility, or do we need a Fofana? I think we need an out-and-out replacement, Ian, if I'm being honest. Who that replacement is, you say it there, Fofana. There's reports suggesting that Forest have got an agreement with Leon for Fofana, but not a personal term agreement, which that could be an interesting one. But yeah, I think it's an interesting one. You could try and go after somebody like a Barcola from PSG, but come on, I don't think PSG are going to sell him realistically. So then I think there's different question marks, isn't it? Do you talk about Anthony Gordon again? I think that ship has sailed from last season. Personally, you could go after Rafael Leao. That there's other names probably I'm not talking about right now that Liverpool could go for. There's plenty out there. But I personally think what Liverpool might end up doing is signing, when we talk about a versatile forward, I think we might do that. I think we might end up signing somebody that can play on both flanks. Because you think about it, Chiesa's going to be going, so you need backup for Mo Salah. Harvey Elliott's not going to be that backup anymore. So you need somebody who can do both. You need someone that can play on the left, can play on the right. Fofana is probably perfect for that because he's decent with his right foot, is mainly left-footed as well, so can play left, can play on the right. So yeah, there's definitely options out there for Liverpool, and that's the thing with Luis Diaz. Liverpool think they can upgrade on him, and that's the honest way around it. Look, Lucho has been one of Liverpool's top players over the last couple of seasons. Before his knee injury, was probably Liverpool's best forward at the time, because Mo Salah was on a bit of a sticky patch, wasn't he, around that time? But ever since that knee injury, he's not really looked the same. But the last season and a half, he's looked very good, But certainly the second half of the season completely changed. Once again, looked more on it, looked really, really good towards the back end of the season. But the middle part, again, went on a downward spiral. And that, for me, is the one that I think Liverpool look at it and go, they can improve on. If they can find somebody that's consistent, similar like what Sadio Mane was. Sadio Mane consistent for 10 months and be that guy that's relentless 24/7. Again, Lucho's work rate, unbelievable. But in terms of finishing and in terms of chances, Lucho, again, would be brilliant one game and then missing for 3 games or 4 games. And that's what Liverpool want to kind of change upon, and obviously change their ways around it. And if they think there's someone out there that can change it. But of course, at the present moment in time, Liverpool are looking at a centre half, which of course is Marc Guehi, and a striker that, at the minute we're looking at, Isaac, Ekitike, as well. But look, there's definitely other things out there as well. But look, I personally think Lucho will stay. I really do, because I don't think Bayern can match what Liverpool want, really. But yeah, I think it's an interesting one for sure. But Scottish Bay says, I think we might sign Ekitike and Victor, Victor Jokerit. Wait, Victor Osimhen, sorry. Both Ekitike is quite versatile as well. Well, the video that's out tomorrow, we're going to talk about that. It's out at 3:00 tomorrow. I reckon Lucho will stay for another season. I agree, Ollie. I really do. I think he will end up staying one more year, and then I think Liverpool will sell him next summer. If I'm being honest. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens, because again, there's conversations that Bayern have sent that first submission as well for Lucho. So again, we will have to wait and see for that. But look, personal terms wise and in terms of contract wise, I don't think there's a problem there. I really don't. I think we will end up seeing Lucho leave if the deal is right. But again, it has to be right for Liverpool and of course Luis Diaz anyway. But moving on then to the final bit of tonight then. Marc Guehi, as you guys can see, but their personal terms have been agreed, supposedly, according to Dave O.C. Kopp, as you guys can see there. As it does say, Liverpool and Marc Guehi reached an agreement on personal terms ahead of a proposed move to Liverpool. Now, Fabrizio Romano as well also added that, again, Marc Guehi is on top of Liverpool's list, but he's not the only name on the list as well. Of course, there is a separation in valuation. Of course, Liverpool looking at a market opportunity. Of course, Palace want 40 to 50 million pounds. Liverpool, by the looks of things, want around 30 to 35. So there might be a bit of back and forth in terms of negotiation, similar to like it was with Florian Wirtz, where again Liverpool supposedly bid like 3 or 4 times. But I do think this will be quick. I don't think it's going to be a long, drawn-out saga. Of course, Liverpool looking to replace Joel Konza. And again, I think people like Lewis Steele as well also mentioned earlier that Marc Guehi is very, very keen on becoming a Liverpool player. So do I think this deal will get wrapped up very soon? Yes, I do. I think, look, Liverpool will want to get it in as soon as possible, of course, because pre-season starts in 2 weeks' time? Less than 2 weeks now. With it being, what is it, the 2nd? Is it 2nd July, 3rd of July? It's the 1st of July. Ignore me. But still, like Liverpool, I think was it not next Monday coming up, the Monday after. I think that's when we come back for pre-season. So we want to get him in there and then. Of course, Palace looking at current replacements, and then there's rumours going around that they've already agreed a £40 million deal for Diamonde as well. So it does look like that, again, they are getting their replacement in ready and waiting. So I do think it is a matter of time with Marc Guehi. Will that be, just straight away, Liverpool agree a deal like, let's say, £40 million, all in? Again, that's to be seen. But I do think we will get a done deal very, very soon with Marc Guehi, because, again, Liverpool have easily identified him. And also, I think, again, Palace will want to not draw it out, of course, because, again, there is still There's still 50-50 at the minute, isn't it? If they're going to be in the Europa League or not. So there is different question marks around that. But again, as a Scottish based player, there's what I was about to say. Palace tried to sign Ben Doak in January. Doak and homegrown swap. Yeah, so you could easily see that for sure. And I think Liverpool might use that as well, that they could end up doing it as two separate deals as well for PSR. So it would be an interesting one, and I do think it will happen for sure. But what else do we have? I think Diaz under Slot improved his game form playing under Klopp. I actually thought he was outstanding in the second half of the season as well. Yeah, again, I thought Lucho, for the first 10 games or the first 10 to 12 games of the season was really, really excellent. Had a middle patch then when he wasn't good or kind of faded off. I think that's due to playing in the 9 as well, let's be honest. And then I think, second half and then towards the end of the season, I thought he was brilliant. I would agree with you there. But I think on an overall perspective, I think, can Liverpool upgrade on him? At the minute, probably not. In the future, potentially as well. But yeah, I 100% agree with that comment as well. Say Palace, tried to sign Doak in January. Doak, homegrown swap. With better cash, could easily see it. 100% could easily see it, and hopefully that is going to be the case as well, where we do see, Liverpool and Palace come to some sort of compromise as well. Because I wouldn't be too surprised if Liverpool bid 35 million for Marc Guehi and then kind of did a 20 million pound deal or a 10-50 million pound deal for Ben Doak, because again last year we were getting quoted, was it 30 million pounds for Ben Doak, but I think that was before his injury again. So that's the other problem with a player like Ben Doak is, okay, looks like a very promising player, but injuries look to be a big problem with Ben Doak. So hopefully, he number one, he can sort that out, and number two, again, Liverpool get a good deal in that sense as well. Anyway, but again, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. Apologies, we haven't been live as well. Decided to have a little bit of a break. Again, having talk of transfers and so on. But hopefully, content will be coming up on the channel a lot more now. Of course, I'm trying to do other bits and pieces. Trying to add videos, trying to add shorts as well to the channel. So hopefully we will be doing that a lot more throughout the from now until I say the end of the season, until the start of the season, until everything gets back into the crazy stuff in terms of the world of football. And we're not just talking about transfers, and we're talking about the Reds actually playing some football as well. Anyway, but look, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your days. Anyway, big thank you to the chat as well. Big up Gary as well. Hopefully doing well. Talia all been Ekatike talk. To be fair, we've not talked about Ekatike in this show. Like I said, there is a video coming out tomorrow at 3 p.m. We're going to talk about what Florian Plettenberg said about Isaac Ekatike and Victor Osimhen. We're going to talk about that tomorrow anyway. But again, make sure you are staying tuned to the channel. If you are new around here, please do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. And hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow for, of course, we are doing the Keep, Loan and Sell tomorrow. That is the show that is going to be up tomorrow on the channel anyway. But look, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your nights. I've been Connor from the Cop Council. I'll see you guys a bit later. Ta-ra.